Three, two, one. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel with me, the Eagle Reviewer slash Reactor. I'm really happy to be here and be making this video for you guys. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts for Avatar Fire and Ash. The long-awaited video is here, and hopefully you've had a chance to see it by now. The movie's been out for almost a month as of the time of this recording, so I waited just to give everyone time and flexibility to watch it. I went and saw it recently just because, theater prices are super expensive now. So I was like, let's wait a little bit until I'm ready to go. And I did end up seeing the third Doomsday teaser, the one with the X-Men, which I think for me is, I guess, my favorite. I never was huge into the X-Men until when Deadpool and Wolverine was coming out, when I did my entire rewatch. Not rewatch, my original watch, I should say. First time watching. I only rewatched the two Deadpool movies because I'd already seen those beforehand. But I knew for Deadpool and Wolverine to see all the X-Men. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked here. So yeah, I did see the third Doomsday teaser, the one with X-Men, and then the movie Blade, which is what we're here to discuss. So with that being said, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel. Doing all those good things helps me out, and I'll continue to make more videos, just depending on whether there's a big movie out which needs to be talked about. So I'll share my thoughts and a couple of other thoughts I've also heard between me and other people I know. All right, let's begin. So first things first, what is this movie about? Avatar Fire and Ash. So let me go ahead and pull up my notes for this movie that I have over here. And I'm just going to be, when it's not really notes, it's just stuff about the film that I just felt like I should discuss. Yeah, all right. So let's get into this. So at the end of Avatar, The Way of Water, right? What happened was their oldest son had died, right? The elder brother of Jake Sully's family. So that is what had happened, right? And what was his name? Like Neteyam or something? Yeah, right. That's who he was. And Neteyam is 25 years old now. Wow. The actor who plays him. Yeah. That's insane. Yeah, I guess both brothers are around the same age. Yeah. Because I'm just not sure, when they film these things and when they come out and what James Cameron's entire plan is. Because I'm assuming they were filmed some more time back, right? But, we got to see, even I'm getting confused here. Loak, the younger brother, right? He's the one who is, just having like memories of him and his brother and trying to just deal with the loss because he feels like Neteyam's death was his fault because they went back to save Spider, because he was being held by his real father, Cordage. So they went back and tried to save him. And in doing so, the elder brother and Tim got shot and he died. And this movie is sort of picking up with the loss of a really important family member for the Na'vi, for Sully's family especially, because they lost an important family member, In my mind, I would probably say he was Jake's favorite child, favorite son, I guess, because they were training, they were super close, and he was hoping that he would also one day become the main protector, I guess, of their brothers and sisters. But that's not really, I guess, what ended up happening. And I know some people would make the comparison that Loak sort of is the one who kind of is the new Jake Sully, where he also had an elder brother who passed away, kind of what happened to Jake. If you remember in the first Avatar movie, his elder brother was supposed to be the guy who was supposed to do the Avatar program instead of him, but he died, so Jake had to fill in, because they had, similar DNA and whatnot, I guess, because, they're brothers, right, by blood and whatnot. So, yeah, that's what happened. So, and he was also kind of rebellious in his own way, um, and so, yeah, all those things were happening. And yeah, that was pretty much how the starting of the movie began, I guess. Okay. So we see that happening, and the family just trying to figure out how to continue on. The mom of the family, Tiri, right, who she is forced to reckon with. Um, yeah, you may notice her as Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy. She's green there, she's blue here, One another color, I guess, will be painted upon her, but yeah, that's Zoe Saldana for you. She's in some of the highest grossing movies of all time, which is pretty cool list to be on. Anyways, so that's that. And of course they're not either the Forest people and Way of Water. We saw that they were with the Reef people, so they were still staying there, I guess, for safety and protection, I guess. And in the last movie, Jake said, their family should try to find a way to adapt and live their lifestyle and their way of life and sort of understand, how to really connect with the water. Because the main message of Way of Water was like, the whole thing about the water itself really having no beginning or end. You just feel it as it comes by. It has its own life, its own cycle. You can try to process it, but all those messages, whatever, are there, I guess. So yeah, and I guess as time goes on, of course, Interior is getting a lot more angry with the pink skin humans because she believes, I mean, they were responsible for, I guess, really was, her, the loss of her father, then her first child, really, I guess, right? Um, was Jake her first child she had to take care of? No, I'm kidding. Um, but anyways, yeah, that is pretty much what happened. And so, the whole sadness period is still going on, and everyone's trying to deal with it in their own ways. And Tiri's, of course, getting more angry with the human race. She's trying to do things the Navi way, the typical forest way, which she believes in, with her clan, what her tribe does, with because all she believes now she has is her faith in Awa, right? The Great Mother, right? For the Navi people. And whereas Jake, on the other hand, he he started out as a human, right? And then he became Avatar now, Navi, I guess, right? That's what he associates with himself now, just after staying on Pandora for many, many years, because that's his life now, I guess. And in his mind, he thinks definitely that Pandora is sort of like his really only life now, Not only did it give him legs to stand on, but, a whole culture, a whole new way of life, own set of beliefs, I guess. And he tried to assimilate with the people, It's more of, the foreigner comes in and tries to become one of their own people, right? He also ended up becoming Toruk Makto, which does play a fairly important role in the film. So yeah, definitely tying back into the first Avatar movie. So yeah, and I'll explain what I mean later on. Okay, I'm not going to recap an entire 3 hour movie. That's going to take this long, so I'm going to try to figure out what else is happening. But anyways, I'm explaining how the mom was going through the loss of their son. Jake himself is trying to deal with the loss by, trying to move forward, keep at it, whatever work there's to be done, right? Because remember, in Way of Water, there was this whole separate crew. I think there was an Australian guy or whatever, I think he was Australian, right? He got his freaking arm chopped off, but he got a new robotic one, I guess. And then their crew, right, is pretty much dead, right, because of what happened in Way of Water. But there's still like the whole wreckage is there with their boats and ships, and they're out there collecting the guns. Um, so yeah, that's sort of what he's up to now. Jake believes, we have to keep at it, keep our heads on a swivel because, the sky people could return at any moment and they have to be prepared for, if they have to fight ever again. So, he's out there collecting guns and whatnot, saying we have to be prepared, we need these sort of weapons. The Na'vi themselves, and pretty much everyone else on Pandora believes that, guns are the weapon of the sky people that are pretty much poisonous for them because, their main weapon that they pretty much need is maybe a bow, I guess, to say the least, and the rest is AWA will provide. Jake, on the other end, has started to doubt his belief in AWA, saying that was this what the Great Mother's plan was this entire time for their first eldest son to be killed, and this is what was supposed to happen. So he's pretty much also challenging his wife Natiri's faith in AWA herself. Right, Natiri's not really happy about this because that's pretty much what she grew up with, what her belief really was, and she believes, all she has left is her faith in AWA, and she's, upset because, she mated with Jake, who pretty much at the time was a human being, right? Just came in as an avatar, but now he's living in the body, I guess, of an avatar, of a Na'vi. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what happened, I guess. Yeah, but then this family sort of continues to move on past the loss of their eldest son, and yeah, um, eventually the okay, I don't want to butcher this. The Wind Traders arrive, and this is sort of trying to bring in some happier moments. I get the leader, I guess, of the Wind Traders. I don't know how you say this. The Talim clan, whatever. Is Palak, right? Palak. I think he probably had one of the best outfits of the entire Avatar saga we've gotten thus far. Like, dude just had this awesome swag and vibe to himself. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. And then the other thing happening is they're debating certain thing about Spider, right? How they want to get him across, like how they're gonna, like if you should travel with the Sully family or not. Because in Jake's mind, and this is pretty much the truth, that wherever Spider goes, because he is a human being, with a mask, which I'll mention later on, right? He essentially is still a human being and people could still come after him. So he thinks it's a better idea for Spider to not go with them because he knows that the humans might be looking for Spider, and if they see where they are, or if they run into each other, they start drawing the dots and making all these connections, then it could be dangerous for them. So he tries to convince the entire family, that this is what their plan is. But all of his children pretty much disagree. Um, let's see here. Loak himself pretty much disagrees a lot because, he's like, oh, I already lost my brother once and you're making us do this now. Spider's not happy about this decision, but eventually he's like, I guess this is what needs to be done. I will say he did save Cordish, his real dad, at the end of the second movie, which was definitely not a good idea because he just brings trouble wherever he goes. However, he did that after um, their son died in return for trying to save him. So, I don't know. Like, it's a whole complicated thing. I'm not really gonna get back into the whatever happened in the previous movie. But yeah, I believe their youngest daughter. They're not their youngest. No, even I'm getting confused. What's her name? See, I'm blinking here. Kiri, she plays a fairly important role in the movie as well, right? I'm not going to discuss too much into it because there's a whole thing with that, right? But the kids are definitely trying to connect with Awa by, I guess, using their ponytails, their plugs, or whatever when they go under the water into the reefs and whatnot. And I guess they're trying to find her to see if she's really there, if she really exists. So that's a whole, I guess, side thing that's going on in the film as well. The other thing I mentioned with Spider and his whole mask situation, right, is he needs to get his mask changed, right, whenever he runs out of oxygen, I guess, right? So it happens earlier, right, where it needs to happen right away, and they're trying to find it, but, they don't have it ready on standby, they don't know where it is, so Jake's not happy about that situation. So, yeah, to me, at first it felt like maybe it was Natiri who was the one who did that to his mask, who, like, maybe she did something to it, but I guess not, because throughout most of the film, she's not happy with Spider. Like, she pretty much says, like, she doesn't want him to be alive anymore, I guess, because she hates humans and she hates the pink skinned people, and if she sees one, she starts going on a whole rant about it, I guess, because maybe in a way she blames him for the loss of her child. And then Jake's whole makes an whole argument saying, "Oh, well, I'm a human. Do you hate me? Do you hate your husband as well? Is that how it is?" So there's a whole discussion about that in the film. Anyway, so they're with Spider, they're going to drop him off and whatnot. Um, but as they're doing so, right, and while everything seems happy and well, we gotta get some action in. So boom comes in for Ring, just like that. And she is the Fire. She's the leader of the Fire Clan tribe, whatever you want to call it. And what are my notes about that? The Mengquan clan, right? They live in an ash village that was destroyed during a volcanic eruption, right? If you saw the trailer for the film, you know what I'm talking about, right? And honestly, I actually had a dream before I saw this movie, um, kind of what the movie would be like, but not really about it. I don't know why I'm saying this whole thing, but it's because I read Charles Perlow's review. I don't know if you guys watched him or not. I just saw he made a video, and the title of it was "Why is the Fire Clan super boring?" Something like that. I did not watch the video, but ever since then, I manifested in myself, and even in the dream I had before I was gonna watch Avatar, that they weren't really gonna play the biggest role in the film. They just served the purpose of having an antagonist, but in the end, it was more about story, story, story rather than fight, 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 fight. And there is fighting, but again, this is a 3 hour movie. We can reserve the main portion of the last act for the fighting. I also need to discuss an important plot point for the film. Quaritch is alive. If you remember at the end of Way of Water, I did mention that. And dude is not happy, right? He still has a mission, still has an agenda of finding Jake Sully and, I guess, bringing Spider back. That's pretty much what's been happening so many times. And in this film, it feels like almost every 5 minutes later, I gotta find Sully, I gotta capture him, and then I gotta find my son and bring him back and whatnot. And it's just insane how, in Way of Water, it was at least somewhat intense. Now it's like they're just doing it like every hour or something, whatever an hour on Pandora is. But yeah, you know what I mean, right? And so, yeah, that is what happens. I guess Kiri, right? I'm assuming she's the older daughter, does find out that she doesn't have a dad. But I'll get to that in a second. So the Fire Clan attacks, the Mengquan clan attacks, right? And I believe that, some people get injured, they're flying vessels, vehicles, whatever you want to call them, I don't know what their names are, start going down, right? So, and then their now eldest son, Loak, right, is in charge of protecting his sisters, right? he wants to also be in battle and carry guns around, but, he never really brings his comms with him or anything. So, he tries to go and tries to jump into battle, and he gets onto one of those dragon things, those dragon animal things, right? And he starts riding it, but, him in battle doesn't go too well. Of course, they have Varang as well, who is the fire, so yeah, she, in her way, is a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, this battle scene goes on for some time. Eventually, though, the kids, the two daughters, and Spider go off. Um, and let me see this thing as well. Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was true or not, but yeah. I watched this reel of people saying that the kid who plays Spider was in Endgame. That I don't know if you guys saw it. The actor Jack Champion, right? Um, if he was in Endgame, if you watched Endgame, he was. If you remember when Ant-Man came, he was like, "Hey kid, what the hell happened here?" Right? The kid who was on a bike who just bikes away, right? It's the same actor. Apparently so. Some people were saying he was the kid at Iron Man's funeral standing in the back on his own, but no, that's the guy from Iron Man 3. Two different people. Anyways, tangent there. Right, and I guess while this thing is happening as well, right, when Spider does his whole escape thing as well, he's trying to. He also needs to do his mask change as well, right? That's why they're there to make sure this all works out fine, but he does end up running low on oxygen, and his mask is back there on the vehicle they came in, so they can't really go back for that because Varang and the Fire Clan is out there and they're dangerous people. So Spider, Loak, and the two daughters are pretty much on their own now because their dad was fighting and he had his own thing going on. And Natiri, she did get injured during battle. She fell, swooped down, with the animal that she was riding on and landed in a forest. When she got to take a nice nap in Muslim. No, I'm kidding. So the kids are pretty much stranded on their own for some time and have to figure out, what their best course of action is now. And so, yeah, Loak does make some funny comments like, why does he have to be the one in charge? Because he's definitely not the smartest one in the pack. He definitely goes in battle head first, thinking what he's doing is right because he feels like he has to be the male leader now, that he has to be, I guess the warrior that his dad wanted his elder brother to do Natayam instead, but now that responsibility would probably fall to him instead, right? Because when he grows older, then it would be his turn, right? To be an important player in the family. And so, yeah, that is what happens. I believe we also do get to see Naitiri's mom as well, right? Yeah. And I remember now in the film, because when Jake is on comms, right, he's asking like if Natame is there, if Loak is there, but no one's really answering because Loak didn't take his comms with him, and when he tried to go after them, they ended up getting burned by the fire. So yeah, that was not a good look for him. Anyways, while the kids are still stranded, they hear some sound, right? Or they see that the fire people are there, right? When they're trying to go back and get Spider's mask, right? Because he's running low on oxygen and he's wondering, like what he should do. He takes, because he did have a gun with him, so he brings the gun with him and he's wondering, what he should do. I think his dad explained to him before, like, or maybe not, but there's a whole thing about, don't shoot anyone you love, right? Like, know what you're doing, you got to be smart and rational about this, but he's just unable to do it. And eventually does end up getting spotted, so he was like, oh shoot, I gotta get out the situation. So he starts running and fleeing with Spider and with their two daughters. Eventually, though, of course, Varang and her gang starts chasing them, so he does also start shooting back maybe a little bit as well. But yeah, it's not the best of ideas, I guess, because they do end up getting surrounded, and yeah, it's not a good look for them. Now, if I remember correctly, they do find a way to get out of the situation, I guess, right? Yeah, and then they have this whole thing about it's the dialogue from the movie, like, what does dad always tell us? And then their youngest daughter goes, Sully stick together, and he's like, no, the other thing, and she's like, Sully's never quit. And Loa goes, that's right, Sully's never quit. Yeah, that was where that scene came from, yada yada yada. And then eventually, Quartage, he's left camp, he's back on Pandora, he's with his best friend, I guess, who I feel bad for, who's just there in every situation that he wants to be in. Quaritch pretty much also comes in with his own mission, right? Which is capture Sully and bring back spiders. So we see this mission start to play out. And he does reach Sully again, right? And he's like, well, what do we have here? And then Sully says, you can capture me, you can arrest me, do whatever you want, but, what's it? Trying to remember. Oh yeah, he's like, Spider missed his mask change, so we gotta go back and save him. So yeah, that portion does also end up happening where they try to go and find him. And, Sully says, oh, the kids probably did this, probably did that. And Cordish goes, well, I guess they're smart people. It makes sense what they ended up doing, right? Because I guess they're just kind of circling around each other from whatever area they were at. Because the kids, I guess, were able to stay safe for some time. So that's what's going around there. Eventually, if we fast forward for some scenes, I guess the Fire Clan does catch up to the kids, so Sully is there with Cordage, and Sully's like, like if you free me from the handcuffs, which you put me in, then I can go in and save them. And then the guy with Cordage, I have no idea what his name is. I'm just gonna say guy with Cordage is like, yo, boss, what's going on here? This wasn't the mission. And Cordage is like, well, Spider's in danger. This is my mission. Well, we're changing some stuff here. So yeah, he lets him go off free because he's probably the smartest one, I guess, to deal with situations like this. So yeah, they're able to go and help save the kids for some time. You know, and it's just becoming an awkward scene because Cordage is like, well, let's not make this a usual thing. Like, what are we gonna do? Go on long walks or something? When this whole spider situation is over, because I'm still taking you in, Marine. Like, just this banter is really insane. And I told one of my friends that I think in this movie, no one is funnier than Cordage. I know that's such a horrible thing to say. I don't even know if I can still call him Cordage because he's not really as bad as the original Cordage in some ways. He's not as evil. I guess through a lens of an avatar, he does kind of understand, like a little bit about Pandora, but he knows, like, especially Natiri, she can never really ever consider him to be good guy anyway. Jake, for at least some time, had a little bit of faith in him, until they started shooting each other pretty much. It was a life or death situation there, because at first he obeyed Colonel Gordich, but, once he realized, like, what should I do? Should I obey um, my colonel? Should I obey the person who gave me a chance to go here? But he pretty much, I guess, figured out that, even if I get my legs back, like, what's the point? He enjoyed staying on Pandora so much, and, just he really liked being with the Navi people and really enjoyed their way of life. I mean, you can't fly a dragon in the real world, can you? No. Like, that's a once in a lifetime thing, really, for him. So, yeah. So that is what does end up happening. But of course, the fire people come back and they're not really happy about this. So they do capture them for some time, but eventually they're able to escape. At first, I thought like Varang was doing something to Cordes. Like, is she turning him to their side? Like, can you do that? Can you like change someone? But no, I guess she was just injuring him. because they were gonna do this whole, I guess, sacrifice ritual, and I even wondered who was gonna get sacrificed. Maybe it was gonna be Cordage or all of them, not sure. But eventually, I think Sully is able to help them get out of there. And yeah, that is what happens. And then I believe while this is happening, Natiri does end up waking up, right? Because she fell, right? But eventually she slowly starts to wake up again because no one can really save her. No one really knows where she's at. She was on her own, but she starts waking up her animal, who is, guess, a little bit injured probably, but it's still a little bit fine. So she's able to find Sully, I guess, somehow. Maybe she through the comms they're able to find each other, and it's every single time when Natiri is almost there, that's when Cordage dips. That's when he starts to leave, right? Because he's like, well, this is what I need to do now. I skipped a very important moment, also, didn't I? The whole thing with Spider, right? He needed to get his mask change done, right? Because he was low on oxygen, but they're not able to do it. So what Kiri does is she believes she has some sort of internal connection to AWOL, which they do find more about later on. Um, and she believes that, she takes the little flower thing, whatever, the white thing, and uses that. She connects her ponytail thing, maybe, I guess. She asks AWOL for help to save Spider, and she removes his mask, and, Lowak is like, what are you doing? Like, is this the right thing we're supposed to do here? Because he needs the mask to survive. But in her mind, she feels like this just feels right for her. Like, this is what she needs to do. But in doing so, she is almost about to die as well. So Lowak is like, let's pull the plug on this. And after some time, Spider is not really waking up, so they think he's dead. But after a few seconds, he does appear to be alive, and he's breathing the air of Pandora without a mask. And they go on a whole little celebration rant. And yeah, that's what happens. And I cut to a bit later when Ring finds her, she's like, she sees Spider, she pretty much captures him, and she's like, well, how do you still live? How is this foreigner, this sky person, this pink skin breathing our air? It's like he's, I guess, poisoning it in a way, because she feels like only people who have the blue skin are allowed to breathe it, I guess. And she feels he's not worthy of breathing in the air of Pandora, but yeah. After some time, though, they go back to the lab, and what's his name? I cannot remember his name for some stupid reason. Oh yeah, Dr. Norm Spellman, right? He returns. The goat is back. And I believe in the first Avatar movie, there were supposed to be some deleted scenes, right? Where Jake starts getting a bit more attention than him because he's jumping into action because he's trained, he knows a little bit how to fight, he has more combatant smarts. So he is, I guess, like able to use that to his advantage, whereas Dr. Norm is more in the scientist department and he feels like he's sort of losing his grip, in whatever position he had because he thought he was the main guy involved. But whole thing, they're still, friends, and it's important to be friends, I guess. And we didn't really see him in the last film, did we? For some time, I guess. Not sure. Again, one of my main comments was it felt like they split Avatar 2 into two parts, Wave Water and Fire and Ash, and this is more like the second half of it, where one is kind of its own thing, and then you have 2 and 3, which is still part of the story of one, but split into two distinct areas. So yeah, if you didn't like 2, I feel like you'd like 3 more. I like 2 just a little bit more only because the visuals are better and the story was a bit more emotional and impactful, but they were about the same. If you liked 1 more than 2, sure, whatever. Because again, even my friend, right, who I asked him, again, the whole debate is what's better, Avatar or Endgame. You gotta write it out for Endgame. He wrote it out for Avatar, so I said he's a fan of the Avatar movies, I guess. But apparently we both like 2 a bit more than 1. Well, at least for me. I don't know how much he liked 2 more than 1. But I did enjoy 3 than 1 and 2, both. There are definitely some weird scenes going on here and there, but yeah. I mean, I'd say 3 is a lot better than 2, just because it is more fun and enjoyable certain parts as well. Good golly, this film is long, isn't it? Yeah, it's one super long film. I don't even know how much of the movie I've recapped to you guys. I'm sorry. This is gonna be a long video. It's a long movie. I need to discuss. I need to recap as much of it as I can remember. All right. So where did I magically leave us off with Dr. Norm Spellman? Right. They're trying to figure out, oh, how is Spider able to breathe the air of Pandora? Right. And the whole debate happens where, I guess by whatever miracle Kiri had performed. I believe Kiri's the older daughter, right? If so, if she's the younger one, I'm sorry. I just cannot remember their names for the life of me. Um, and then that's when Jake's wondering, well, what if every human could live on Pandora without a mask, but then the Navi people will be gone, right? Similar scene plays out in the trailer, so you can kind of put two and two together to see where that dialogue comes from. And yeah, I wonder what the people of Earth are up to, because in their minds, do they see Jake solely as a traitor to the human race, I guess? But like, in what way? Like, oh, he didn't let them get their unobtainium. I just wonder, like, is Earth, I'm not sure what year it takes place in. I know it's way out in the future when they have billions of dollars to spend on this awesome technology, but it's going down the drain into these meaningless fights and missions. Cordage just, it's funny how they only send Cordage, like, to Pandora, and then his just one guy with him, who I feel bad for a lot. I guess I don't feel bad for anyone else more than him. I do feel bad for the people in the Sully family, but for him, I'm just sad he's just tagging along with whatever he's doing, and I guess just has to go with it. So yeah, there's a whole thing with that. And I just wonder, like, is Earth polluted or something? Like how are the people actually doing? Because I don't know. Maybe they have the money to do this, and maybe Earth itself isn't doing too well. Maybe this is a last resort. Because he does make a very important point. What if every single human on Earth could live on Pandora? But that's sort of what happens. But we've seen the movies, right? The foreigners come in, a lot of them do by a great margin, and when they start coming to wherever the original inhabitants are, then like their population starts to dwindle, right? Like in the US, it would be sort of like with the Native Americans, right? And now then they were forced to like pushed off into the reserves that they made for them. But at the end of the day, it's like, history, I guess, kind of repeats itself in a way, regardless of how many hundreds of thousands of years it takes. So yeah, that's a separate point there, right? But they're seeing how Spider himself is doing. Because I think Jake wants to see if there's a way that they can reverse it to make it where Spider does need oxygen to breathe, to kind of make things go back to normal. They're doing tests on Spider, I guess, like making him run up on a treadmill. He's super happy and ecstatic about the situation that he's in, but, Dr. Norm is like, if they try to reverse it, it could kill him. It could be a bad thing. I guess he also leaves some advice saying that, they shouldn't try to connect to Awa again, like when they're down in the water. I guess, especially for Curie, because they really start figuring out she definitely has some sort of connection to Awa, and if she tries to access it again and tries to speak to her, it could kill her. If she does it under the water, because it's like she has some sort of firewall protection system that's encrypted to where she really can't access it yet. Maybe it'll take more people to break free from it, but yeah, that's sort of what we're led to believe thus far. Time passes. He hoo. Then of course we see Colonel Miles Cortez, right? He's back there, um, reporting to whatever woman, officer, boss lady, whatever she wants to do, right? And of course she's angry. She's like, well, you failed the mission, so we're gonna kind you ground you on what needs to happen. But he's like, nah, I won't do my own thing. I'm gonna get my allied friends. I'm gonna go to the fire people, I guess, because he feels like there's some sort of conflict in between them. So he was like, the enemy, my enemy is the friend. And he puts a lot of faith and trust into the fire people when he goes to visit Varing, because he feels like earlier, especially when she had captured Lowak and the other kids, right? She was asking him, hey, how do you use this weapon, use this gun? Because she was really drawn to it. Maybe she's obsessed with by all the fire and violence that it spreads, and she's pretty much given up on Awa and the traditional ways of doing things that history says what the Navi people are supposed to believe. But in her mind, And Varang's mind, she's like, she kind of has a similar approach to what Sully's saying, was we have to adapt to this new way of life. And I guess she's really obsessed with fire because of the volcano which came and burnt her forest and destroyed a lot. She stopped believing in Awa because she didn't come to save her. So her whole thing is, you guys keep praying to Awa, but if I try to cut or injure someone or try to kill someone, will Awa come in and magically save that person somehow? So, it's like, how much faith are you willing to put into whatever it is that you do, right? So in her mind, she's kind of stopped believing, and she's like, she kind of sees through everything. She's trying to figure out who to trust exactly. And Cordage comes in, and he puts a lot of faith into Beret, thinking that she'll really do too much harm to him. That he's like, I'll bring you guys guns and weapons, whatever you want. And in return, you guys come and help me track down Jake Sully, locate Spider for me, because, we got to do this every 30 minutes of the film, because it's an important plot point. So, yeah, it's crazy that this still continues to go on. Yada, 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 skip. So, Jake's back with his family, they're safe and sound for some time being. But of course, after some time, they get attacked with Varang again, and they're trying to figure out where they're at, locate them. Oh, okay. I also didn't mention that Paylock does also end up dying because of the attack from the fire people. So yeah, he's not there anymore. He was only in this one movie in particular, right? And the female leader of the Reeve clan, she's also pregnant. So, she will have to step into battle sometimes as well. But even though she is a child, so, there's a whole thing going on with it. I believe she does end up having a daughter, right? Yeah, later on in the film. So there's an important scene with that. Skip. So, after they get attacked by the Fire Clan again, right? Okay, now I remember what happens. Okay, so Cordage is there with the Fire Clan, and he's like, "Yo, Jake Sully, if you come and you surrender yourself, then I'll make sure that nothing happens." And at first, she's trying to draw him out, so he's like, "All right, I gotta go find something to burn, to draw and attract him." So yeah, it does the job. They light something on fire because they're bored if they don't. They have a lot of money apparently to do this, billions of dollars going into this plan. And so yeah, eventually Jake comes in and he surrenders himself. And there's a whole moment about Cordage being like, "All right, dude, let's pinky swear on this." I just don't understand. It's like he can never really be the good guy because he has this huge ego inside of himself. Yet in a way, he does have a chance of learning. Now, here's what I think about it. If he does try to learn and understand the way of the Na'vi, that could help him for some time being, right? And he could enjoy it. But I just feel like he's never really going to feel like he'll really belong to anything. Because Spider's going to choose Jake over himself. He knows that very well now. And so he's just wondering, like, what should he do for his best interest? And I don't think that Neytiri would really ever be cool with Cordage, because maybe it wasn't his fault that their son died, but the loss of her father, for sure. Like, that was definitely an original Cordage's doing. Or maybe, well, and if you do argue, well, that wasn't him, you would say that, oh, instead it was the original Cordage who's dead, but he's, I guess, the better blue version of him. Then maybe it's like, well, I guess the loss of her son could go to that version of him, maybe. So it's a whole thing, I guess. Yeah. Another fun fact. When Avatar 3 was, I don't know, many, many months ago, but after the release of Avatar 2, when Avatar 3 was announced, I asked, okay, well, if Cordage is gonna return, what's he gonna do, right? Like, is he gonna become good, join the good guys, work with Sully, do his own thing, like just be his own bad guy, or work with the villains? And some people were responding to my comments saying, no, he's gonna become a good guy now. And then I read up a little bit more about his role in Avatar, and it said that he has no path for redemption because he doesn't want it to be like, oh, the bad guy becomes a good guy and now everything's happy, because no, he is a bad person in his nature. Like, if you saw in the trailer, I do think at times Spider does regret his decision of saving him, because of what all that meant. And yeah, there's a whole thing about it. So in a way, these situations do come at large. And yeah, no, there was something else I wanted to mention, but maybe it doesn't happen yet. Anyways, so Sully goes in and he's captured, and Quaritch is walking around with Varang and I guess the Fire Clan, and he's like, we're gonna make a trade here. All the other clans will just get destroyed, but if you guys work with me, I'll make sure that y'all's clan lives. We can form our own association, and yeah. And Natira's unhappy about what just happened. She's like, nope, I gotta go in and save um, my Jake. So she finds a really smart way of blending in with the Fire Clan by painting some red stuff, I guess, on her face. It's supposed to be blood or something. I have no idea, but she's in her own disguise, I guess. You know, and yeah, this whole thing does sort of turn into like this video game moment. Again, I did watch Avatar at my local Cinemark in XD 3D, so these were some cool, interesting scenes. Um, I've played fair share of video games, so yeah, it just felt like, rescue Jake. There's like this whole mission, this whole operation is happening right now, and so yeah, she has to do so. So she goes in and she tries to free him, but the other clan finds out that, she's not with us, that, she's a Teary, I guess, and they try to save her. Also, while this is going on, can we go back, rewind time? No, what's it? There is this marine biologist who's with them, and I cannot remember his name because it feels like we just saw him in this movie for the first time. Who was like, whatever they're planning on doing, right? The sky people, right? Whatever their plan is will definitely harm Pandora. So he's like, no, he's trying to protest, and that evil lady in charge of this is like, all right, dude, your protest has been heard, but no, yeah, he feels like it hasn't been heard. So he was like, I gotta go and save Jake Sully and make sure, because he's their best chance of making sure like whatever thing they're planning is under control. Right. So, fast forward. We see that he tries to help Jake by having this sort of machine thing that he's inside, this vehicle that he's in. He's trying to figure out how to operate, and he's like, all right, dude, I got myself a PhD. I can figure out how to operate this thing. Nope, he doesn't really get it, but he is smart enough to help Jake escape. Also, Spider was also taken in, right, by Cordage, right, because he was trying to find him as well. So yeah, there's a whole thing going on with that situation. Okay, there's another thing I wanted to mention as well. I'm not there yet. Is it weird that I'm recapping the movie to you guys? It's just like, this is the easiest thing for me to do, is to go through as many events as I remember and just say it. I think this is also the longest movie I've ever tackled on in this channel, so yeah, it just makes sense. But feel free to take breaks if you need to. The pause button is available. Anyways, we're more than halfway done, I'm sure, by now. So, Spider was captured, right, as well, by his dad. I know, right? Awesome dad of the month there. And so, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Anyways, it's like, yo, Spider, you want a burger? It's like he got him like McDonald's or something. I have no idea what that was. And he just tosses it away. And then he's like, oh, well, you're not Cordage, because, he asks to keep, I have no idea what it is, like a keychain or something around him, right? But obviously, Spider, being the smart guy he is, only asks for it, not, as a memory or as anything really, just to use the thing to sort of like this key card thing, right? That allow him to exit from the place that he's being held in, and once he's out, dude's fast on his feet. He is able to escape. And yeah, because he doesn't like tests being ran on him. So when he's with Jake, his sort of plan now is um, also trying to remember. Oh yeah, he sort of is Jake's human shield because he's like, yo, well, you guys can't shoot me. You need me. You need to study me. Quaritch would never want me shot, right? Who's important role in this film. So, he's trying to help him escape and all. But the lady just has enough. And she's like, we can't let Jake escape. He was like, all right, just start shooting at him, you know. And then the Marine himself doesn't really know what to do. He didn't plan this far ahead. So, yeah, after some time, Natiri does come in. She swoops him, and they're able to escape. And yeah, and Spider. And this is sort of the weird part of the film. It feels like the pacing just kind of slows down dramatically in a way. Yeah, again, a lot of emotional scenes. I did mention earlier in the film where the dad, in a way, did pretty much blame. Um, I need to find. What was it? Was it Loak? Loak, right? He blamed Loak for the death of Natayam, right? And the dude was really mad. So if you know what happened in the film, yeah, he was about to do something really serious, right? But then their family was like, don't, like life is worth living, I guess, and this is not what needs to happen. But yeah, that got pretty dark and emotional in a way. Yeah, I would definitely say so for sure. And then another scene is happening where Jake's wondering, like how many times can we go and try to protect Spider, right? It just doesn't make sense. So he takes a knife and he's like, all right, we just got to do this now, right? We can't let this thing happen forever. Because anytime Spider's with us, it's just putting their family in danger. And here's the thing, no matter how much Natiri disliked Spider, it was never to the point where she actually was about to, go off and actually do it. And that's why I mentioned earlier with the mask scene where the first time we saw that his oxygen was running low. And it's weird how I don't know if in Way of Water this was ever a plot thread. As far as I can remember, I don't really think it was mentioned to that detail. And again, I don't know how much time had passed in between, or if it was just something they wanted to start discussing now. But yeah, I don't really know. But anyways, Jake is about to, if you know, you know. But then he can't do it. I thought Natir was gonna come in and stop it from happening, but no. If she came in, and if he did go through the plan, it would have been too late by then. So yeah, that was a couple minutes of the movie that I'm never gonna get back. But again, emotional scene, impactful, and they're like, no, we can't do this. We need to stick together now more than ever. And that's when Jake realizes, okay, very fierce, important, epic battle is about to happen, so we need to start figuring things out. And now we can sort of really get into the third act of the film, right? Where he's like, I need to become Torque 2 again. I need to get the dragon from the first movie back, and yeah, I think people were happy to see him return once again, right? Because he cannot look up, know the pitch meeting, right? That's how he was able to get on top of him and ride him and gain the trust of the forest clan, forest tribe people. So yeah, worked out fairly well. So then, alright, let's get all the clans, all the tribes again. And it feels like it's a callback to the first Avatar movie again. It really feels like we're, in a way, kind of trying to wrap things up here. And so, yeah, big budget CGI fight, lots of money being spent in this is coming up. So, yeah, get ready, Jim. This is what you've been waiting for. And so, yeah, all the clans, all the tribes. Uh, and yeah, they're getting ready to fight. Natiri says to Loak, if she or her father doesn't return, then she'll go and run away and hide as far away as possible. So yeah, this is about to get fairly serious. And bada bing, bada boom, the battle starts to begin. And yeah, got the Fire Clan also, Varang leading them as well, and she is the fire. So yeah, she is there. I guess one of the reasons why people may think the Fire Clan is boring is what's the like real motive for fighting? Okay, Awa didn't come and save you guys. I just never really understood why they were so angry at the forest people themselves. It's like, okay, did they not come to save them for some particular reason? Did they not know of their existence? It's like, why the hate? I just don't really understand it. Maybe I'm missing something from some context, I'm not sure. But it just feels like, I think out of all the conflicts we've had, it doesn't make sense. Because the first two movies, the main villain was pretty much Quaritch, who they had to get by from. And then the third movie, because Quaritch is kind of sort of on a redemption arc, they're like, we need an even more worse. We need an actual villain now, because Quaritch is on this sort of bumpy path here. Jake's trying to get him to see and breathe and understand, try to appreciate this planet. It made me do the understanding it after spending some time with Varang and seeing things through her eyes, maybe. But at the end of the day, he will be him, and that is a piece of the actual Quaritch, um, regardless of what anyone thinks or says. So yeah, and then during the awesome battle that happens, the main woman from the Reef clan is about to die, and just before that happens, she does give birth to her daughter, the youngest member of her family, and Atiri asks, well, what do you want to name her? And she gives her name. It's, I guess, very important, impactful name. And she goes on, and I guess she will end up raising her daughter for her because she's about to die. And battle, 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 push, 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 punch, punch, punch. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff is happening. And yeah, they're pretty much able to defeat the Fire Clan. And then there's just some cool scenes where, Jake is with Spider, and Spider's like, oh, I'll kill you, I swear. And, Jake's out there, and, Spider does end up shooting Quaritch. And, he's about to fall, I guess, because he just always ends up in 50 million dangerous situations in this film. And then I guess they're about to fall off, and then you have Sully here, who's like on the top of this mountain, and then you have Quaritch who's holding on to Spider. Jake's like, yo, give me Spider, I'll make sure that he's safe. And it's just weird seeing all these scenes like this, and after some time they're just standing on the top of the mountain. So yeah, it's very, very strange stuff is going on. Quaritch just pretty much says, well, this is awkward, because he's like, no matter what happens, it's never over. I gotta bring you in, so I gotta turn you in. It's been my whole thing for so many months, so many moments. Like, this whole thing needs to come to an end at some point in time. And yeah, I mean, sure, I guess. And then, of course, Neytiri comes again, and, she's about to strike him. And so it's like, wait. And then they're just waiting, I guess, for Quaritch to say something. He's like, well, so that's how it is, huh? And he's like, well, I'm out of here. It kind of reminds me of Sonic 3 with Eggman, right? If I can't rule the world, I might as well save it, right? I did do a reaction to Sonic 3. Do also consider checking that out on this channel. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, wow, okay, we're doing one of those deaths. And he falls up and he goes, yeah. I was like, dang, okay. Because I'm still trying to imagine it and picture in my mind, if Quaritch was to stay and be there, I guess, with the Sully family, he would be a pretty good asset. He could try to protect them. But from what now, right? Like, are they going to send more people after him, maybe? Or are they going to give up? Because in a way, it does feel like we're trying to wrap things up here. Would Quaritch join Sully and go and just attack the human people and they'd leave? I mean, that's what happened in the first Avatar movie, but, things didn't wrap up there, did they? I guess not, eh? So, yeah. That is what ends up happening there. Think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the kids are able to see the Great Mother Ewa in her awesome, glorious form. And after some time, they're able to reconnect and see the people that they knew and loved and had lost after some time. And I guess in a way, it is a way of remembering and honoring the ones who have passed away, the dead. and played an important role of, helping the Sully family carry on because I guess their legacy is really more important than anything. Their belief system, whatever ideas they've had. And it's crazy how after three Avatar movies, who knew we were gonna end up in a spot like this? Second movie would have emotional stakes like that after a huge passage of time. Third one I feel is like just is more of a picking up where two leaves off and Fire and Ash just picks up from there. And after that we get the title card and song playing at the end. Um yeah, that's pretty much it. That is what I can remember from Avatar, Fire, and Ash. Alright, I finished recapping the movie. Oh my gosh, you guys, it took me almost an hour to do so. Hey, I took a third of the time though, so yeah, you guys are welcome for that. Now I gotta make the second part a little bit faster. What are my thoughts about it now that I've shared a good amount of it? Okay, so the whole thing with James Cameron, right, is you've got to really see it in the most immersive experience possible, whether that's IMAX, 3D, whatever, but in some shape or form, like someone's holding a gun. It's like these video game moments, like you're actually there in real life, seeing the gun like first person viewpoint, seeing all the controls and whatnot, and it's just diving you in like you're pretty much there, I guess. The battles in this one are really fiercer than ever, I'd say so. Yeah, and a lot of blue people in this one, except for Spider and Norm and a few others, I would say. Yeah, and then of course, Kiri finds out. I think it's Kiri, right? Finds out that she doesn't have a father. That um, she has two moms, and one of them is Awa herself. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that portion as well. Anyways, so with that being said, yeah, I mean, I just really, really enjoyed this movie, you guys. It was impactful, it was emotional, VFX, CGI was better than ever, the visuals were awesome, the stakes were higher, it was really emotional in this one. And it felt like you could really enjoy this one. It's like if you it as a trilogy, some say by the third one it kind of falls off. In a way, each one really does stick together, I guess. And I feel like if you haven't seen one or two, I feel like you kind of do have to watch three. For not really for the fire people again. I do feel like they were a bit lacking in this one. It just felt like there's not really been a strong villain, and now that we don't really have Cortridge again, to really be our main bad evil person, because Spider tries to be the mediator of conflict every single time. So it just feels like like what are we gonna do now, right? Oh gosh, but I still had a fun ride. Each act offered something new to it. And we got to explore a lot more, meet a lot more clans and tribes, explore more, really get a vibe, I feel like connection to the planet of Pandora. Man, they're never getting that unobtainium, are they? Because it's unobtainable for a reason, right? No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. It's just crazy how after so many years we've really reached this point. Three Avatar movies are now out. We're in 2026 now. It's crazy how much time is passing. We've gotten three Avatar movies now out of the five planned by James Cameron. And, we might do six or seven as well, but it just depends what'll happen. Because Cameron says his plan is to do four and five, and after that, it's more like we'll see. Even four, which I believe they did start filming some of it, is more dependent on how well the film does. But that thing made $1 billion by now, so I'd assume it's profitable by now. If it's not profitable after $1 billion, something wrong is going on. Do I think it's gonna make as much money as two or more? I don't really think so. The reason why two made that much money is simply because like 16-year gap after the first Avatar movie, highest gross movie of all time. Bring a follow up to it, you can expect again, James Cameron's the director, better visuals now because technology is getting better with time, and I guess he did need time to deliver the film and the vision which he needed, because again I feel like most people know this, he's been planning these movies out for long period of time. He's just waiting for the technology to catch up to him because he feels like, in a way, he's ahead of his time. Whatever vision, whatever legacy he's trying to carry forward, it will be remembered in some way. Now, does it make sense for James Cameron to dedicate this portion of his life to just doing Avatar? That is up for debate. I do know he wants to make his own sort of take on the incidents of World War II, right? Because I think he criticized Oppenheimer, maybe. I'm not really showing the whole dark aftermath and side effects to it. What was the film he wanted to make? Like Train to Hiroshima or something? No, I'm thinking of Train to Busan or something about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Something about it, right? And what happened, when if you know, you know. I don't want to get too much on a tangent on that, but yeah, that is, I guess, what he may end up doing. Because Cameron said, like, if three doesn't work out, especially, right, that he'd maybe make a book explaining what happens in four and five, which could work, honestly, as long as there is pictures in the book. I can't read words. No, kidding, kidding. Um, but anyways, I mean, there's talent. There's just almost everything you'd want. So I guess an 8.5 out of 10 does kind of capture the strength of it. That's also what my friend gave it. Who's the same guy who's been giving like movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, Fantastic Four, 7 out of 10. He gave this one 8.5. I think I'd have to give it an 8.5 as well. B plus in the sense of, yeah, it's a film. I enjoyed it. I would like to watch it again, because I feel like it sort of wraps up these three films in a nice little bow, and I guess we can sort of explore some new stuff as well. So that does work it out. So that is my rating of the film. Final thoughts. Final thoughts. I think every single character was really important. I liked each one. They had their like own individual moments or scenes. Of course, the brother of the family, right? The son now, the only son they have left. He's trying to help this animal, right, who has been outcast, and trying to, have himself be heard because his father is not sitting up for. But I didn't mention that too much, just because it would happen a lot and it would make this video longer. But he is able to use him, and he does kill a lot of people and wipe a lot of them out. Yeah. And the Australian man is gone for good. I was really tired of him in the second movie, though. If you didn't like him in the second movie, yeah, he was not the greatest, honestly. But yeah, that is what happened as well. So I mentioned this, I mentioned that, right? And I believe in this movie, in the beginning especially, and towards the middle and end, the film was narrated by Loak in this one. The previous one and the second one was narrated by Jake Sully. And then I think in the next one, it's going to be narrated by, who's doing the narration in it? It's the daughter, right? Sigourney Weaver, right? Kiri, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to it. And it's gonna, I guess, take place maybe a couple more years down the line, I guess, in whatever year it's in. And it's gonna focus a bit more on what's happening on Earth, what the people are up to, which I'm kind of interested in. I'm glad to see we got to see the humans again. I was wondering, like, and are we just done with that? Like, are we just focusing on Pandora now? But no, we are really, in a way, trying to wrap things up with the bow and close things off here, which I feel like is an important idea now. So yeah, I'm glad they went with that route. And I'm just wondering, because Avatar 4 is coming out in 2029. I think 5 was called A Quest for Awa, right? I forgot what the rumor title for 4 was, or if they're still going to change it. I mean, they have a lot of years until then to do so, but I guess it makes sense between the amount of time they have to film it and the insane amount of time it takes to do post for VFX, SFX, CGI, all that to make it look as good as it needs to. So I can understand it. And they haven't finished filming 4 yet, I believe, right? Because the reports were around the release of Avatar 3, they were about halfway done, maybe. So, yeah. And who knows if 4 will be better than 3. Again, for me, it's just been each one's just better than the other one, just because the visuals are better and each one is more emotional. But maybe 4 will not be better than 3 for me. Just maybe if they go with the more simple route, which is fine. Simple works for me as well. I'm just curious to see what direction James Cameron is planning on taking this world now. If we're going to meet more clans and tribes as well, or just doing something else entirely. But Not sure, guys. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching for my longest video on this channel. Again, consider liking this video, subscribing, really helps me out. And I will be back again sometime soon for more videos. Eagle Reviewer / Reactor is out. Take care.